Yo, so I want to talk about the first time I ever made an honor band. So, for some context of the history of my playing, I started in the 3rd grade on a yellow clarinet because that was my favorite color, and I dropped out after a year because the clarinet was really broken and I really wasn't having a good time. In the 6th grade, I joined again because my 5th grade teacher told me to, and I had a bit of a better time, but my clarinet was still pretty bad. So at the end of 6th grade, my band director asked me to switch to bass clarinet, and I did, and I joined the top band for middle school, and all was well. But I always knew that I wasn't very good. In 9th and 10th grade, I applied to my school's top band twice, wind ensemble, and I was rejected both times, and I felt a deep sense that I had to get better, because I'd always wanted to be good at my instrument and be somebody who could make music and really be proper good, you know? So that year I tried out for an honor band. I learned about it about 3 months before, and I think I practiced probably around an average of an hour a day, which was a lot more than I had been doing. I would sort of just do short bursts, but during these few months I became very consistent and actually made first chair, and I was really excited. I couldn't believe it. And that should be the end of the story. It should be all dandelions and rainbows and I should be all happy. But the truth is that during that time, I had never felt more out of place. The way the honor band worked was you had auditions on a Friday night, and then all of Saturday, if you got in, you'd be there. And I remember I sat down next to these 2 other fantastic bass clarinet players, and they were just so much better than me. I think I included I made first chair. I got first chair in this honor band, but I felt like these 2 people were better than me by a lot, and I felt like I really didn't belong there. And I was actually really anxiety stricken. I had a great sense of imposter syndrome for probably the first time in my life. I had never really struggled with something similar to this, but sitting in first chair next to these 2 people, I remember there was a point where they tuned only the first chair players, and I thought I sounded really bad. I was actually fully in tune, but I just felt really bad about how I was playing, and I was so in my head about it that it was just terrible. And I remember that Monday, my band director was really pleased, and everybody was really congratulating me, but I never felt more like I hadn't earned it. I knew that on paper that I had placed better than these 2 other people and all the other bass clarinets who auditioned, but for some reason in my head, I just felt like I wasn't good enough. Wow, that's the title of the video. To be honest, this hasn't really stopped. Especially last year, I did a lot more honor bands, and I also had a cast for about 3 months before, so my prep was really bad. I had gotten a lot worse at bass clarinet, in my humble opinion, but I still made all my groups, some less high ranking than others. I remember I did make All-State, but I was in the bottom group that didn't even exist the year before, but I still managed to get into all of my groups, and I still felt this great sense of imposter syndrome. And I shouldn't say that this took over my life, because it really didn't. There was a great sense of happiness, and I got to meet a lot of people at these functions, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that imposter syndrome has been something I've struggled with a lot, and questioning if I really earn these positions is something that I get in my head a lot about. Very, very often I will look back and just think, did I really deserve this? Am I good enough to be sitting in this chair right now? I remember there was a big time where a lot of the bass clarinet people I watched on Instagram would do a 100 days practicing challenge or whatever, and they'd post every day, and I'd always watch them, and their descriptions were just 3 paragraphs of stuff they have to improve on, and I'd look at those and be like, wow, this is really impressive. And I remember I tried to make my own page. This is actually how Bass Clarinet Brian started. I made my own Instagram page called Bass Clarinet Brian. And I remember I had practiced for like 3 hours one day, and I had taken a few videos. And before I wanted to post on Instagram, I watched them back, and I realized that, oh, this and this isn't all there, and I'm not up to scruff or whatever. And so I wrote like a 3-paragraph thing as the caption of this one Instagram video, and I was gonna post it, but I just asked myself, like, what's the point of this? Because a lot of what I wrote in the caption was just stuff to improve, but in reality, I only wrote it so that people seeing the post would think that, oh, I guess this is excusable. I was basically just making excuses for my bad playing, and I wasn't just embracing how it was. Because I didn't, and I think a lot of that came from the feeling of being a fraud, because I believe that by virtue of me getting into the honor bands previous to making this one Bass Clarinet Brian post, that I should be able to play perfectly and I should be just completely solid. But the reality was, I really wasn't. I really wasn't perfect. The video wasn't perfect, and writing that caption was just a way to try and hold up this fake image that that not even people perceive me as, but that I believed other people perceived me. And I never ended up making that post. I deleted it. Those videos are somewhere on my phone. I don't really know. It was almost a year ago now, but this has been sort of an issue for me for a long time, and it's never really affected me more than doing music, which is really sad, because the whole point of music is to share it with people and experience it and enjoy it, and the idea that I can't do that because I have this thing in my head telling me I need to be perfect all of the time is really sad, because I don't end up sharing, and I don't end up doing what the whole point of music is in the first place. And I should say that if I only felt this way, I would have stopped auditioning for honor bands a while ago. I definitely do them because I do genuinely enjoy them, and because I can meet people and they're a great time. So I just want to get that out of the way. I would have stopped doing this a while ago if I couldn't put up with this stuff. But it is worth noting. But this is still a big problem for me that I do experience. But I wanted to make this video because I think I've found some ways not to overcome this, but to try and mitigate the effects of it. So something I should clarify about this issue is that it is all in your head, which to some extent is bad and to some extent is good. To how it's bad is that if it's all in your head, then you can't get rid of it. You're always inside your head. I shouldn't say you're always inside your head, but you're always thinking, and there's not really a way to disconnect yourself from your head, because you are kind of your head just physically as a human. So it is kind of hard to overcome this challenge because you can't really get rid of it. But on the other hand, because it's in your head, it means that you can focus on other stuff. For example, I found that something that helped me a lot when trying to avoid having this feeling of imposter syndrome was to just practice more. When I was practicing a lot, those were the times where I felt like I didn't even feel like I was good enough, but I was just able to focus in on practicing. When I practiced, all I did was practice. I did not think about other stuff or other issues that fell onto me, and I think that was something that really helped me out a lot. So if you can just, and it doesn't have to be practicing either, maybe it's going on a walk or just focusing on some hobby, or literally just doing your homework can be stuff that can really take your mind off of this whole game that we play to try and seem better than we are. And I think the second thing is sort of just embracing this truth. I think we can all accept that we feel this way sometimes, and that often, in that we're not alone in feeling this way. This video is sort of a way to express this. If you've been watching the video on screen, I've been practicing these 2 bars from Rose 2 number 9. Not even the 2 bars, it's mainly just one group of 16th notes, only just 4 of them that are hard to get out for me in a row. And I recorded for 13 minutes, and I still couldn't get it all down, which is pretty funny. I still don't have it today, but this video is an example of, this video is to show that, no, I don't have it all figured out. I'm not the God that maybe I think that you, the viewer, think I am. I'm just me, with all my flaws and all my struggles of trying to get over this one goddamn lick. And I'm not saying you should go make your own YouTube channel called Tenor Sax Terry or something to try and overcome your feelings of imposter syndrome. But what I am saying is to just be comfortable sharing things that may not be perfect. If you have a recording of some part of a band piece, maybe you should go just send it to your mate and ask him what he thinks of it. And I think doing stuff like this really helps you get out of your shell of feeling like you have to live up to a ranking and that you are unable to just share how you are. And I think just putting yourself in the hot water and putting yourself exactly where you're scared of being will help you no longer be scared of it. Because I think something that should be acknowledged is that imposter syndrome is irrational. It doesn't make sense. Because when I did my first honor band, it was a blind audition. They didn't know who I was, but they put me first chair out of virtue for my playing. And I should be able to acknowledge that and accept that and say that even though I did have issues in that audition, I messed up the goddamn F major scale, which is like one of the easiest ones, I was still able to get first chair because I was good enough. Just feel comfortable sharing your progress and sharing how you aren't perfect. And I think these 2 things are things that have really helped dealing with my imposter syndrome, and I hope they can help you as well. This is my first commentary video. I'm kind of lying. I've recorded this like twice over, but they're both fairly incoherent, so this is my 3rd try. But yeah, I hope you got some value out of this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.